Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we are back here with another video in the off-season recap. And today we'll be talking about the Chicago Bulls. And I know someone's going to be like, well, Cyro, the off-season isn't technically over for them. Josh Giddey hasn't been signed. We do have a takeaway notes and a whole segment dedicated to Josh Giddey. Similarly, we had done that with the Brooklyn Nets and the Cam Thomas situation. We'll do the same with the Philadelphia 76ers and Quentin Grimes, as it was a terrible year to be a restricted free agent. The only team that could have given them the max offer, or the offers that those players were looking for on the high end, was the Brooklyn Nets, and maybe could have been the Detroit Pistons, but both of those teams decided to use their cap space differently. So before we start today's video, I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. What do you think of the Chicago Bulls offseason, and did you like what they did? Was it worth it? Did they do a good enough job? Is it a playoff team, the roster they've put together so far, assuming that Josh Giddey returns, either on a multi-year deal or on the qualifying offer? If you enjoy this content, hit that like and subscribe button. It'll help out the channel a ton. Now, as I sit here and click through this slideshow for us, let's talk about who they brought back. And shout out to Chicago Sun-Times, New York Times, aka The Athletic, Mark Stein and Jake Fisher of the Steinline Substack, NBA.com, and yours truly, where I work, hoopshype.com, for a lot of this information that we put together and some of the screenshots. So Tre Jones comes back on a 3-year deal. $28 million, was it, or $21 million, going off the dome right here. I think it was a 7 or a 7. Yeah, I think it was like $7 million a year, $9 million a year. Well-deserved, an efficient, low turnover, good passing backup point guard who's become a better scorer over the years. I like this deal. Lonzo Ball, they re-signed him to be able to trade him. And he wasn't going to be a part of the team's future. They're clearly already having to decide if Coby White or Josh Giddey is going to be the guy who's going to get that money. Because if they re-sign Josh Giddey, it probably means they're going to have to trade Coby White, because Coby White is going to obviously want a similar contract to Josh Giddey. And having Lonzo Ball being there and already having Ayo Dosunmu made it that there was a lot of mouths to feed. Isaac Okoro allows you to trade Patrick Williams, who they might have overpaid, and isn't working out there. And Okoro still has potential. This is a guy that people were comparing to be like a modern day style player, not a direct comparison to Andre Iguodala, but a similar archetype defensive. Not the best shooter, but could become efficient on low volume, dunker, athletic, can guard multiple positions, isn't a bad passer. And they got straight up player swap and put themselves in a position to have a guy who's going to be a great perimeter defender at the point of attack, but also be someone who still has some value as a reclamation project to become maybe like an all-defensive caliber player for you guys. They drafted Noah Essengue, who everyone's been like, this is the Pascal Siakam prototype. The next one, hopefully. I think it's a swing before where they were at 12. That's the type of flyer you take. You can develop as a small forward, power forward, maybe a small ball 5. He works well next to Buzelis. A team that wants to run and gun with Ayo Dosunmu, Josh Giddey, Mr. Coby White, all at their disposal. Throw in Buzelis and Noah Essengue, and what? You could have that be the 5-man lineup right there. And that's a lot of running and gunning. You guys remember what Billy Donovan, who they just extended, did with the Oklahoma City Thunder? Very similar style play. Loves to play transition, loves to play pace, and I think that's something there. And then I just loved Lachlan Olbrich. Oh, we hit the mic. We hit the camera. I'm sorry, guys, for knocking the camera. But what we did see was that Lachlan Olbrich, a guy who was a G League elite camp stud, made his way to the NBA Combine and can play a switch big, a little undersized for a true big, but another Aussie who's got that strength and grit to do what is needed to be done to be a productive, effective member of a team, and that is rebounding the basketball, playing tough defense, and hitting open shots. Like we said, Mr. Lonzo Ball was the man that they moved off of, and rightfully so. So the current roster, assuming that Josh Giddey is coming back, he'll push Ayo DeSumo into that backup role. I don't know what happened with Dalen Terry. That was a wasted pick. Why would you? He was a point guard in college. He was 6'7". They've developed him as a small forward. When he does play, he's kind of a swing man. Someone tell me what's going on with Dalen Terry. But Tre Jones and Ayo DeSumo will back up Josh Giddey and Kobe White. Okoro will probably start. Buzelis at power forward. Vucevic, until they trade or buy him out, is the starting center. Jalen Stick-Smith is the backup, and allegedly when Vooch is moved off of, they're going to have Zach Collins be the starter, who played really well to end the year for them. And to me, that's something that I really, really like. Now, six-man, I think, is going to be a combination of Tre Jones and Ayo DeSumo. They have Kevin Huerter, who can also start if Okoro struggles. Patrick Williams is there to play either combo forward position, but he could be pushed out by Noah Essengue. Now, another guy, Javon Carter, who I really like, but he hasn't really fit in there. They have three guys on two ways: Lachlan, Olbrich, Emmanuel Miller, Yuki Kawamura, Wooga Poplar, and Caleb Grill will probably be trying to push Emmanuel Miller out of that. One of the spots, same thing with Julian Phillips, but really solid squad there. I think there's a lot of depth, a lot of guards, a lot of length. A team that I think was already good offensively, especially because of their coach, that needed to improve defensively. Got a lot of length in Essengue. I mean, over the season with Collins, I think that was a good addition. But to me, I think this is a team that, and Okoro, another one, just really helps a team that needed some help when it came to being a potential play-in team that maybe could surprise people, you know? And I think that's one of the more interesting parts about all of this is like, oh, can they surprise people? And I wonder if they can, because to me, I think they're in a position to do so. All right, sorry about that. By the way, this is the salary cap look at the Cavaliers, who, if you currently look where they are, this is a team that their payroll, 149.3 luxury tax line, is at 187.9 million. Tax room is $38.6 million, with 195.9 being where the current first apron is, and 207.8 million being where the rest of that is. And the cap line right here for the Chicago Bulls, I don't know if I said Cavs by accident. I think when I said cap and I said Cavs, in my head, I don't know which one I said, and I've gone stupid. Either way, the cap snapshot for the Bulls, 149.3 million is the payroll, and that gives them right now $38.6 million in tax room. Assuming $30 million taken out for Josh Giddey gives you about probably $8 million. Then same thought process goes to the first apron. Take out $30 million, gives you about $13.7 million from the first apron. Take out $30 million from that 55.6, gives you about a $25.6 million in cap. And I'm shooting over on the $30 million for Josh Giddey just because let's just overestimate to be safe. And that's anything in life when you're like doing business, finances. My father, a small business entrepreneur my whole life, always told me when you're doing any type of financial management, you want to always estimate based off of your worst months and always estimate for the highest cost. So if I was going to buy something and it's usually $18,000, but sometimes can run for $19,000, all right, we're going to estimate that it's going to be $19,000. We're going to assume that we're buying it for $19,000. And if on a good month we're making $3,000 a month, on a bad month we're making $15,000, well, we're going to assume that we're paying it based off of the $1,500 a month. So even on your worst month, you still have room to grow. So that was my whole thought process right there. And here we go. The Josh Giddey news that everybody's been waiting for in this video. The Bulls and Giddey are allegedly $8 to $10 million apart on a long-term deal. And what we're hearing, Chicago wants $20 million to be the average annual value, the AAV. Giddey's camp wants $30 million of the average annual value. What we're hearing is $22 to $25 million as the average annual value is considered fair. I'm assuming $25 million either on a 3 to 4 year deal, bring him to 70 to 100, maybe even a 5-year deal. I think it could be something where we're looking at a $125 million to $150 million 5-year deal for Josh Giddey. Before we continue to the rest of the video, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think Josh Giddey will get and why? He's well deserving. The way he ended the season, he was averaging like 22 7-7. An absurd run while shooting like 40% from three. Well deserved if whatever they give him. So what are the big picture takeaways right here? The front office is continuing to retool as they want to win, or at least be a playoff team, regardless of them not being anywhere near contending. They flipped Lonzo Ball for Okoro's defense and potential rather than picks. They drafted upside in Noah Essengue and a contender or a potential contender as a day one role player off the bench in Lachlan Olbrich to beef up their forwards and front court depth. The payroll sits far below the tax even after signing Josh Giddey, which obviously leaves the flexibility if Giddey signs, big. And the Bulls still insist on trying to build from the middle, and they're resisting a full rebuild. This progress or playoff hopes obviously hinges on the growth from Buzelis, Essengue, the soon-to-be paid Josh Giddey, Kobe White, and everybody else, and Billy Donovan, and continuity. But that's it. That's basically what the Chicago Bulls did this offseason. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. Do you guys agree with it? Or do you not like the strategy of building from the middle? We haven't yet seen a team come to fruition as a championship contender, let alone win a championship, having built from the middle. Most famously, that term was coined by Tommy Shepard, who I actually met and have his number now at Las Vegas through this whole thing. We were like in the tunnels. I was actually going to ask him a question. Then 2 days later, he came up to me. He was like, dude, so sorry, guy. Didn't ask you. So sorry I didn't get to your question. Let me ask. And then we talked for like 10, 15 minutes. Love Tommy Shepard. Good guy. Lives in Davidson, Maryland. Actually neighbors with Pat Spencer. That's a whole other story, guys. Either way, let me hear your thoughts if you made it to the end of the video. And if you did make it to the end, you clearly like this type of content, hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a ton. Like, share, do whatever needs to be done. That's it from me, guys. I'm out from here.